When I was studying live stream, things like that, but since it's the boss's demands, so yeah, here I am. So I talked a little bit about China on the last video. Trying to get this keeps this thing going. So I guess nobody's watching this anyway. But so let's talk about something else. So about China, for people who have never been in China before, let's. I will say the conclusion at the beginning of it. I think China is a place, is a country that worth visiting, worth living. Yeah, if anyone who have never been to China, that I highly recommend it. To me, I was born and raised in this country for 23 years. I've never been out of the country, so there's no really comparison like that. But you see, since I can go to YouTube, so that means I can see the world through the internet. But just by my own opinion, I still think China is a very good and brilliant country. It's not. I know that in the in other countries, they might have different opinions about my country, but I was living here, so I think I got the right to talk about it. Um, as many of you might know, China now is what's the second biggest economy in the world now. So we are actually a power that cannot be ignored. And since it can't be ignored, we we will just keep pushing our limits and trying to make the best of it. As a Chinese, I gotta say I'm actually very proud of my country because we made miracles in last 40 years. The United States, our country opened our gate. It's not exactly like open our gate. We opened our gate for a long time ago. I mean, we opened our gate like entirely. We welcome everyone from the world come here to do business with us, to introduce new products, new new things that happened to this world that was being discovered. We welcome everything, and our economy was growing super fast, and that was a miracle because 3 years ago we were basically lack of everything. Like uh, I heard from my parents and my grandparents. They told me about it back in 1960s, 1970s, after say Cultural Revolution. Everything was very, see, there's nothing like food or clothes, the the love interest, everything you use, you eat, whatever you need in the real life is actually so there's a very little number of it. So what we do here is, in those days, even if you got money, you can't just step into a store and buy whatever you need because that's not how it works. Back in that days, you need a specific license. Let's say it, like license for meat, for clothes, for even bicycles or TVs. Yes, that's more specifically. You're gonna give show them the license and the money. You're gonna need both of them so you can get what you need. So you can see the product was very lack of. So number of this is very little. Everybody need it, but just there's no enough of it. So that was back in like 1970s, and look at us now. It's like 40 or like 50 years ago. So 49 years ago, look where we now. We're the second biggest economy of the world. Our people actually, I think we were having a way more better life than our parents and our their grandparents. So we grow fast. Grow fast means uh, our life level is growing very fast. So about that, I think this is a country of a miracle. No matter how you said it, you can't deny it. So now you came into China. Well, if your parents, your grandparents say, "Oh, China is a place that doesn't really have anything." Nowadays, if you came in here, you can see a lot of tall buildings, modern cities, cars everywhere. That's a sign of economy growing. So and from the 1970s, you can basically purchase anything that you need in this country, almost anything. Whatever you need, uh, whatever what you used to use back in your own home, you can buy them in here. Basically everything here, makeups, clothes, phones, everything. Uh, so it, all I gotta say is it's very easy to have a life in here. You don't really have to change much to live in this place. Of course, if you're traveling, it's easier because you're not gonna stay in this country for very long. So I guess there are two specific reasons why foreigners gonna travel all the way to China. One is for traveling, and the other one is for working. And I'm gonna talk about traveling first because working is more specific, more complicated, but traveling is a little bit easier. I'm gonna talk about traveling first because this is a country that was full of surprises. We have 56 different kind of culture and many different languages and religions. We all gather together in this country. We are the second largest country in the world. We have uh, 1.3 billion people. No, 1.4 billion people living in the country. That's where we are. We are, as a strength, we're actually very powerful, I believe. So, sorry, I'm gonna take this. Mm. So traveling to this place, the first step, I guess, your first stop in the country, possibly Shanghai or Beijing, right? Because Beijing is the capital of China and Shanghai is the economy center of China. Or Hong Kong, maybe, because Hong Kong is you know, it's the gate door of China. Uh, let's count them one by one, all right? Beijing first. Beijing, uh, it's basically like the center of all the country. Everything you see in Beijing is basically the best. All right, it's products, it's stores, everything you see in there basically the best in the whole country. So if you want to try something different, or you just need to step in one. If you only want to stop in one stop in China. So I highly recommend Beijing because you can technically see almost everything about China in Beijing. It's the center of China. Nonetheless, Tiananmen Square is just the biggest city square in the world, and of course, it's Great Wall. Great Wall, uh, it's it's a miracle as well because it took so many people so many years with their hands to build such an incredible constructions. It was built to the defend the enemies outside the outside the country. It was very old and it's almost like 3,000, 4,000 years old. That thing and uh, all the emperors they keep repairing it during over the years. So nowadays we're watching the Great Wall we've seen right now. Uh, some of course we've repaired it a little bit, but mostly it's this ancient construction by the wall. You step on it, you're gonna feel a great shock in your mind because it's so. I've been there, it's been so surprising, and the view on there was actually incredible. You can never see that in some anywhere else. That I can guarantee you. You can never see another wall, another construction like this. It's specific, it's special, it's one or and only it's unique. All right. So Tiananmen Square is the biggest city square in the world. If you could get up very early, like 4 or 5 a.m., I think it should be 4 a.m. You can see the soldiers raising the flag. I've never seen that with my own eyes, but I saw that on TV. I saw that on internet everywhere. When I was in Beijing, I was unable to. I was I was a little boy back then, so I was unable to get up and see the particular raising flag things. But other people saying that you can find it on the internet. It was actually very so soldiers. They're very well trained, and you can see them was they were working together with the system. It's worth watching, I believe. And Tiananmen itself is a very uh, enormous construction. Uh, I believe a few years ago, I don't know if you can still do this right now, but I believe I remember a year ago, a few years ago when I was there, when I was traveling in Beijing, we were able to step onto the Tiananmen and see where Mao was standing. Yeah, when he uh, announced that People's Republic of China was built in this specific. I remember that, but I don't know if that's still the case. And if you watched the Olympics back in 2008, then you know the main stadium that was in Beijing as well. That was also I really recommend you guys to can go there and see it. Of course, you should see it inside if you pay some extra money. If you see the inside, you can see you know, the interaction there was actually very pretty and worth watching. And you can stand into the football ground in the stadium, and you will feel completely different. Working in those stadiums, and that's basically Beijing. And of course, if you want to actually feel how how Chinese people really thinks, how they take things, how they think of things, or you should also go to Beijing because there's basically all the cultures so mixing up together in there. So this is Beijing, then Shanghai. Shanghai is actually it's very close to us. I'm in Nantong now. It's 2 hour car traveling to to go to Shanghai. Shanghai is the economy center of the country. You can find all these big companies have somehow their own side companies in there. Um, and there's a lot of tall buildings and everything. Apple Watch. If you anyone was or is wearing Apple Watch, you can find one time lapse gate. No time lapse space watch face. One of them, they have New York City, London, Hong Kong, and of course Shanghai. You went there. Uh, the best products, I believe, so basically all in Shanghai. And if you want to experience like what kind of what kind of big city, the type of big city that China have, then Shanghai is your place. It has two parts, there's a river in the middle. The eastern part was basically Chinese culture, typical Chinese cultures, old buildings, traditional buildings. On the east side, no, on the west side, there was basically Western things. There was foreigners was staying there. They built churches, and it looks really great, especially in night, because those churches, even though they're very old constructions, they have golden lights in it. So in the evening, you go to the western side, and you can see them glowing, technically glowing, and that looks very beautiful. Shanghai was famous for its accent and food, of course. Of course, I've been through Shanghai. I have a relative, even though I'm not very close to him, but I have a relative in there. He was the building in Shanghai was. I'm sorry, I gotta take a break. I'm a little bit. I'm not, I'm a little bit tired. I didn't have any breakfast actually. But hey, um, let's back to it. Shanghai. Shanghai is this place. You go there and you can eat some different cakes and of course if you're talking about food, we're talking about like going to the east, no, not east side, no, like so. Of course, if you went to Shanghai, you see these all these different cons- constructions. You might have a pretty good night. Basically, all the Western impression about modern China they came from Shanghai. So you see, Tom Cruise is his third Mission Impossible film. That was the last part was filmed in Shanghai. And of course 007, the Skyfall in the middle, there's a part that was filmed in Shanghai. Even though Daniel Craig was not like in Shanghai, when Shanghai for when Shanghai shoots that thing himself, you can see some very typical signs of China. That was Shanghai. Oh, Shanghai was famous for another thing. They have Disneyland now. So, uh, but of course, if you want to see Disneyland, you might need to go to the United States. But just let you know, if you went to Shanghai, you can go to Disneyland now. So it's really like an international modern city now. Uh, does if anyone is there any film uh, film hobby? Does anyone who enjoys watching film uh, who's watching this? Is any audience here watching films? If anyone do, no, if anyone did, uh, I'm gonna tell you this information that Shanghai a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, when An Lee's film Billy Lynn's Long Half-Time Walk, it has this brand new system. It has 120 frames per second. Yes, 4K evolution. It was called Revolutionary System. The new platform, Platinum film system, they call it. So that film was only could be seen in 4 places in the world. There was two in United States, which were New York and Los Angeles. Uh, one is in Hong Kong, I believe. Yeah, one is in Hong Kong, and the other one is in Shanghai. I went to see it. It cost me a lot of money, but that was quite an experience. So just let you know that Shanghai has this ability to place a new highest system in the film in the film industry. So if anyone trying wanna she says that Annie's next film gonna use the same technology. So if anyone want to see that movie in the highest level, uh, when you're in China, you should go to Shanghai. That's how it is. So that's basically Shanghai. Of course, as a modern city, you can feel the stress all all over the place. You can feel the stress everywhere, every time, every second. But that's also the feeling of surviving, I think. That's how you really experience it. So that's Shanghai. Then let's talk about Hong Kong. Hong Kong, it's more specific because I've never been in Hong Kong. I, I was told that that place was actually pretty fun, pretty good. That was being taken by British and it was given back in 1997, the year I was born. And so even since I didn't really been there, so I can tell what's good in there, what is not. But you couldn't miss this place if you planning to travel through China. So I heard it has different kind of food, and foreigners being there could be having an easier life because they treat English, they teach English, they use English as a language that they use in the normal life. In the daily life, it's unlike anywhere else in China. If you went here, if you went here, came to here in Nantong, that if you can speak Chinese, it might took you a while to get you the right information or the information you need. But in Hong Kong, it could be a lot easier. Just letting you know, if you are not very confident with your body languages or Chinese, I suggest you start from Hong Kong or at least Beijing. Shanghai, I saw a lot of foreigners there. Yes, very specific. But I don't think many Chinese can speak like real good English in there. Hong Kong is better because they've been doing this over 100 years. Um, that's Hong Kong. Uh, let's think of something else. That's about traveling uh, through China. But of course, if you decide to traveling through the whole country, uh, then gotta take you a long while because we are a very big country. This is a very big country. It has uh, plenty different cultures mixed up together. We have different privates, and everywhere you went, you might have different experience. Of course, maybe that's how you want it. We have different cultures. Each and every one have different specialties. So, of course, the that's a very important. There's another very important part was is food. The food you can eat in this country could be countlessly special, and most of them, I guess, are gonna leave you a very deep memory about it. So, but if you want me to give you examples, it's very hard for me to just compose examples. We have different habit uh, in eating food across the whole country. We should try everything, really. Each and every place is eating different things. Just if you're hardworking enough, you should not during the whole set. You will not eat the same food at least at once. You eat different food every day, every meal. So that's special. I know I'm sounding a little bit tired, so it might be so attractive as I thought, but for real, if you check the images and different TV shows about China, you gotta learn. So this is if you're willing to travel in China. So I'm gonna talk about living in China. I have to correct one thing that many Western media said we were like rude or something. That was not really the case. I mean, in some place might be, but most of us are civilized people, and we actually respect each other. So uh, there's no worry at all for you guys to working here or worry about nothing. It doesn't need to. I live in this country for 23 years. I am not like popular. I'm not like a popular guy in the through my country, but I've never feel like I was being shamed or they still respect me even though. Sorry, I guess I need to take a break. Anyway, working in this place is it's not like a typical challenge, I think, because we're so open now. There's basically there's nothing big change need to be made if you decided to work in here and living in here, have a life in here. Uh, our people are most of them are hardworking and kind people. So I have confidence for my people that we will not let you down. That's what I'm gonna say about working here. Working here, of course, the salary here, most of foreigners can get very well paid in this country. We need this kind of uh, talented people in here, like all the time. That's what we do in here. From my own experience, I think Chinese actually kinder. Sometimes a little bit rude, but we were technically kind people. So if you have, if you decide to live in this place, you get used to it. You will fit in very quickly because there are actually plenty foreigners living in this country already. So working here, have their own daily life. Everything is perfect. Everything is sweet. There's a country that, just from my own perspective, I can't speak for everybody. Some people just don't like it here. Somebody just something they just can't accept it. But it depends on people. But I believe uh, most of foreigners gotta be gotta have a very smooth feelings living in here. I have confidence for that. We've been doing that for years. That's basically the value. Since no one's watching, I'm gonna talk about something else. Well, I think some of you might interested in what kind of problems you're gonna have in here. I mean, after all, there are still many differences between this country with Western countries and other countries. Uh, I'm a film fan and I love playing video games. So to me, the biggest uh, inconvenience thing to me is about the movies. Most of the global hit movies came in the theater at the same time globally, including China. All right, like Captain Marvel, we released it at the same day, on the same day as United States, and the films that will come this April, Shazam, we will release it on the same day as United States. That's like most of the part, but sometimes from time to time, the movies they got pushed back a little bit, and they can then we can see them on the big screen in China, like Bohemian Bohemian Rhapsody. We like half a year later than United States. I we could only we could just see that from yesterday. See, that film went into the theater yesterday. I saw that yesterday. It was a pretty good film. You should check that out. And and Avengers. If you're a Marvel fans, most of the film gonna come to the theater at the same time as they released globally. But there's exceptions like Avengers. Each Avengers film, whether it's Avengers or Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and welcome the films that welcome this April in the United States Endgame, we pushed a little bit like a week later. So uh, Infinity War was released in United States and globally on uh, April 20, April 27th, 2017. We released it on May 3rd, 2017. This is the same case for Endgame. So if you are a film fan, you can wait a little bit more till you see that on the big screen in China. And video games, we already have our like video game shop like Steam. Of course, we can use Steam. They haven't banned us yet, uh, but um, it's it's not very easy for us to buy video games to play video games. It has some technical issues involved. Uh, that's how it is. And of course, as you know, that you can use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter in China unless you use some technical, uh, use some technical solutions maybe. But you're all right. There's, there's solutions for all these kind of problems, so you don't have to worry about a thing. So I think that's basically including everything you need to know before you come to China. If you have interest, if you're interested in coming to this place, so this is a life I know. Nobody's watching this right now. Somebody might watch it later. I'll always be here, and if you have any questions, I will answer them. This is Arthur from Dialogue Zone International. Well, until next time, I might take a break. See ya.